Hi, and welcome to Soul Podcasting. I'm Demetria, your host, and you're listening to episode number 8. I'm your Impact Podcast Coach, and I'm excited because I help you to make an impact in your community through the powerful medium of podcasting. And today we're going to be talking about some of those tools you need to begin podcasting. If you haven't already started, I've got resources for you. I've got tools to help you. And so one of the things I want to share with you, which I will definitely leave a link to in this YouTube channel, because this is also going to be not only a video on YouTube, but a podcast. So you can listen to it on my channel, Mom Zest. You can watch it there, or you can listen to this on Apple Podcasts. And I suggest you do both. But Apple Podcasts, definitely leave a review for me, okay? So I'm going to leave a link for you in the show notes as well. And I don't think you can see this in the video. Okay, there you go. So you can probably see it now if you're watching on YouTube. And this is my Soul Podcasting Blueprint that I wrote just for you guys, just for you to help you get started with podcasting if you haven't already. And in this blueprint, I give you a couple of different things you can do to begin your podcast. And today we're talking about tools. So not only is this blueprint filled up with ideas for tools you can use, but it's also a framework for what I use in my coaching. If you are interested in receiving coaching from me, I have a marvelous program that has just been launched, and it's called the VIP Podcaster Power Launch. Now, this is a 2-week coaching session with me. It's 14 days, jam-packed with activity where you're going to be creating your fabulous podcast. And yes, I know that you could probably throw a podcast together in just a couple of days if you really wanted to, but this gives you enough time. This 2 weeks with me gives you enough time to really go over your branding. We really talk about all the things before you get started. So we want to make sure that your topic is on point. We want to make sure that you're happy with what you're going to be delivering to your audience. And that not only that, but your branding is excellent. And then after that, we talk about all kinds of things to help you to prepare for your launch. And then me and my team are going to help you produce your first 4 podcast episodes, either audio or video. So we got you covered. Everything from intros, outros to audio and video editing, we've got you covered. So that's what I do. And that is my brand new program for you. So I'm very excited to have launched it. And on this show, we're just going to be talking mainly about tools. So if you've already started podcasting, I'm wondering what tools you're using. I would love to know. Leave comments in the YouTube, or if you're listening in Apple Podcasts, just, shoot me an email. Look at the show notes. My email is there. Shoot me an email. Let me know what's going on with you. How are you doing with your podcast? How do you feel about your podcast? What tools are you using? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? I also run a Facebook group. So if you're interested in that, it's for women of faith who are podcasters. So if that fits your category of what you're trying to do, then you can join me at the Christian Women Podcasters Network on Facebook. And that is a private group that I would love to have you join. So for audio gear, the only thing you really need are just a couple of items. Honestly, podcasting is an industry that's starting to boom right now. So there's tons and tons of resources and tools out there, but you only really need a few things to get started. The first thing you need is a microphone. So for those of you who have been listening to this podcast for some time, know that I keep talking about and referring to my Blue Yeti mic. If you see me on the YouTube channel, I'm pointing to it right now. Got a little cover for it that I really like. It's kind of a furry grayish black cover. And I love this Blue Yeti. I'm turning it around right now to show. But I should leave it alone so that the audio remains set. But this is my Blue Yeti. I've also got a Shure SM58. I've got a couple of other little odds and ends of microphones that aren't as good quality. So I suggest getting something like this Blue Yeti to get started. So you just need a decent microphone. An Audio Technica is also a really, really good microphone. So, and make sure it has a pop filter, just something kind of to cover the mic so it doesn't get all the pops and everything in the microphone. Make sure you have a good headset. So right now I'm not wearing my headset. I'm using the audio settings from my laptop computer, but in order to listen to the playback of my audio and make sure that everything sounds right, I will be putting my headset on at that point when I do the editing. So you'll have to record into a tool that helps you to edit your audios. You'll want to use professional audio editing software. There are quite a few of them out there, but the ones that I recommend the most are going to be the Adobe suite. So Adobe Audition. I also like Logic Pro. That's a really good one. And you could use GarageBand if you want to. And Audacity is absolutely free. So that's a good one to download and use as well. So this is your workstation. It's what you use to record your voice and then edit the output. And the last tool you need essentially is which is not even really a tool, is a quiet workstation. You want to be in a quiet room because microphones such as a condenser mic will definitely pick up on a lot of the noise in your room if you're not careful. So you want to make sure that you have a quiet space to record. Plus, it just makes it a lot easier to edit out any of the sounds that you don't want when it's mostly quiet in the room. So make sure your room is nice and quiet when you record. If you're going to be recording interviews like I do, I record plenty of interviews every month. So I typically use Zoom. So you could use Zoom, which is free for I think 30 minutes or so, or you can use the paid version and use your rooms for a little longer than the 30 minutes. Another option is to try out some of the newer recording platforms out there specifically meant for interviews. And I haven't tried any of these yet, so I can't vouch for any of these, but I know that Riverside is one that a lot of people are using, and I've heard some pros and cons with Riverside, so I don't want to give my opinion about it, but it's definitely an option. And there are a couple more that you could try out as well. There's also Zencastr. I think some people are using Anchor, and then there's Streamyard. There's a lot of different options. So you can check them out. I'm currently in the process of creating some resource files for you to look at over at my website so that in case you have questions about tools, you can see my resources. So that's going to be over at impactpodcastcoach.com/blog. So all of my resources are going to be there at the blog, and there will also be some downloads for you available as well. But those are the key components of audio gear. So if you're ever thinking, I don't think I can podcast, I don't really have all the equipment, never fear, you don't have to have all the equipment. Now, granted, if you want to have a really fancy studio, you can have that, but you can dial it up or down as you wish. So being a podcaster doesn't mean you have to have a studio full of expensive equipment. Now, in our home, we happen to have a lot of equipment that I actually don't even use for podcasting, but I could, and it's because we are producing music as well. So I could use those for podcasting, but I wanted to keep it a little bit simple because it's a lot easier to set up and take down, and I don't have to go through all of the extra steps to set up when I'm ready to podcast. So this microphone connecting straight into my computer and my headset and Adobe Audition is essentially all I'm using to get these podcasts out every week, in addition to my Zoom account that I use for my interviews. And granted, Zoom has its pros and cons, and I have my opinions about whether or not Zoom is the best option for interviews, but it does work. And I've been using it for years, and it's been working for years. So is Zoom perfect? Absolutely not. But it is a way to It's a means to an end. It's a way to get your interviews recorded, and it works just fine. So with the exception of a few quirks here and there, and nothing is perfect, no platform is perfect, I think Zoom is a very good option. So that's all I have for you today. I just wanted to make sure that if you're thinking about podcasting, that you don't have any excuse, that you know that you can do this with just a limited amount of tools, and it's so accessible to you. That said, I want you to head on over to impactpodcastcoach.com if you feel like you want a little bit more advice and support, and if you feel that you're ready to launch your podcast, your beautiful heart-aligned, soul-aligned podcast. So my introductory price right now, you will find on my website, which I'm leaving the link to that below. If you are interested, if you feel like this is something that you definitely want to do to begin your soul-aligned podcast and you want to work with me, let's see if this is something that would work for both of us. And I invite you to check out the program details by visiting the link below, fill out the inquiry form, and let me know that you're interested. And then I'll be in touch with you to schedule a time on our calendars that we can meet together and discuss having your podcast created for you. My program actually jumpstarts you, so it gets you thinking about all the things that you need to have a successful podcast. And so it will get you moving within 14 days and have your podcast complete with 4 episodes. So it's a wonderful program, and I'd love for you to check it out and see if it's something that you will find valuable in your life right now. Okay, so that's all I have for you today, and I will talk to you another time. And until then, happy podcasting.